In this meeting, I will reveal how you can stem the poison of cognitive necrosis and reclaim your emotional vitality in just a few days by mastering the hidden language of your cells. Silence about your pain isn't just exhaustion. It is a biological sentence that is, at this very moment, corroding your potential from the inside out. As researchers of awakening consciousness, we have observed that the body archives what the mouth keeps silent, transforming traumas into literal physical dysfunction. Perhaps you feel it's just age or life's bad luck, but the truth is that your biology is merely reacting to what you haven't yet processed. By the end of this video, I will provide a practice of radical honesty for you to perform today, in just 5 minutes of silence. Stop for a moment and feel the weight of your body. There is a silent conversation happening between your cells and your soul that you have likely been ignoring. We talk a lot about spirituality and self-knowledge, but we rarely look at how the spirit sickens the flesh when it is silenced. What we call cognitive necrosis is the physical proof that the awakening of consciousness begins with the acceptance of what hurts. Welcome to this safe harbor, where truth is not a burden, but the only path to liberation. Cognitive necrosis is not a common medical diagnosis, but a vibrational reality. In our era of overstimulation, we were taught to use a positivity bias that forces us to archive traumas instead of processing them. Imagine a seed buried in the darkness. If it does not bloom, it rots. Such is repressed emotion. Every time you swallow a scream or mask a sadness, your biofeedback system sends out signals of cellular stress. As the wisdom of Vedanta teaches, the mind and body are not separate entities, but different densities of the same soul. When you disconnect from your feelings, the erosion begins. The fatigue you feel isn't a lack of sleep, it's the weight of a mask that has become too heavy to carry. To understand cognitive necrosis, imagine your body as a sanctuary of living memory. When you repress an emotion, it doesn't vanish into the void. It is hijacked by cellular tissue, creating a zone of stagnation where vital energy stops circulating. This forced archiving process generates constant noise in your nervous system, consuming an immense amount of energy just to keep the pain under control. The clarity we need to have is that the chronic fatigue many feel after age 40 is not a natural decline of age, but the biological result of decades of sustaining unspoken truths. But this erosion does not remain just as a silent noise in the back of the mind. It begins to shape the roads where your life walks. Our neural pathways are like rivers. When we block the flow with the stones of emotional necrosis, the water stagnates. Contemporary science already identifies somatic markers where anger and grief manifest as chronic inflammation. It is not just a spiritual metaphor. The prefrontal cortex, our seat of discernment, literally shrinks under the weight of invisible burdens. As the Sufi sage Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters, but if we close the wound before cleaning it, it gangrenes the spirit." Your biology responds to your spirituality. To live in the shadow is to demand that your cells sustain a lie, and the price of that lie is the collapse of your physical reality. The science of the soul now finds an echo in neurobiology, revealing that repressed fear and anger act as oxidizing agents in the body. When you inhabit the shadow, your immune system remains in a false state of alert, attacking itself because it cannot find a channel of expression for emotional tension. Spiritual authority here is not a magic promise, but the ethical understanding that healing requires the courage to look at what has been exiled within us. It is necessary to understand that every cell possesses an emotional scripture. If the text is one of denial, biology will respond with inflammation. This inflammation of the being, however, rarely stays contained within the skin. It overflows, transforming the world around you into a faithful reflection of what you carry in the dark. What vibrates within reflects without. When cognitive necrosis sets in, it overflows into your professional and social environment. Have you ever noticed how chaos seems to follow certain people? This occurs through the projection cycle. Repressed fear creates a frequency that alters your social reality, causing the people around you to react subconsciously to your state of repression. It is the law of correspondence from Hermes Trismegistus. As above, so below. If your interior is in a process of emotional deterioration, your external life will seem stagnant or conflicted. Bad luck is often just the echo of a soul that gave up speaking and started screaming through destiny. This mirror effect works like an MRI of your invisible state. If you carry unresolved emotional necrosis, your perception of the world becomes blurred, causing you to attract or interpret situations through the lens of scarcity and conflict. The fundamental insight is that the external environment often acts as a safety mechanism of the universe, trying to show you, through obstacles, what you refuse to see internally. By healing internal perception, the mesh of your relationships begins to reorganize as you stop projecting your biological death onto others and start radiating the clarity of presence. Understanding that the world is a mirror gives us the power to stop trying to fix the reflection and, finally, look at the source. It is time to intervene in the very code that sustains this reality. To interrupt this poisoning, we need an intervention in the soul. Neuroplasticity shows us that it is possible to unearth deep-rooted blocks through radical honesty. It is necessary to go through the somatic experience, allowing the body to tremble, the tears to come, and the stagnant energy to leave the muscular system. Interior transformation requires us to be, as Jiddu Krishnamurti proposed, observers without judgment of our own pain. By facing the lump in your throat, you withdraw power from the necrosis. Healing is not an external miracle, but a biological necessity that occurs when you finally decide to be true to yourself. True cathartic liberation is not an emotional outburst, but a process of cellular unlearning. By applying presence protocols, you begin to teach your brain that it no longer needs to protect you from a pain that has already passed. This is the moment where ancestral wisdom meets neuroplasticity. The act of witnessing one's own pain with compassion dissolves the neural chains of necrosis. Understand that the crying or trembling that arises during this process is actually the cleaning of the windows of the soul, allowing the light of consciousness to once again bathe the areas that were in darkness. Once the windows have been cleaned and the system rebooted, the inevitable question arises: how to keep this light burning amidst the chaos of daily life? How to build, from now on, a dwelling that no longer accepts the poison? Restoration begins with a daily plan of emotional evaluation. Do not allow toxic mental residue to accumulate until sunset. As soon as emotional necrosis is eliminated, physical vitality returns like a tide coming back in. Your health will be a direct reflection of your transparency. Cultivating presence and listening to the soul is what keeps the temple of the body clean and vibrant. Remember, the universe listens to you when you learn to listen to yourself. By embracing your truth, you not only heal your cells but rewrite the script of your own existence, transforming poison into medicine. Restoring reality means aligning your biology with the natural rhythm of the sacred. This requires the discipline of self-listening and the courage to abandon mental habits that fed the toxicity. The final enlightenment is that full health is a state of transparency. When there is nothing hidden between your soul and your cells, energy flows effortlessly, manifesting as mental clarity and physical renewal. You are not just healing yourself from an illness or trauma. You are architecting a new body, lighter and more resilient, which serves as a worthy vehicle for your higher purpose in this existence. And what if the pain you feel today is actually an invitation from your soul for you to finally become who you were born to be? Reserve the next few minutes for inner silence. Place your hand over your chest and ask, what truth am I hiding from myself to maintain the peace of others? Do not judge the answer. Just let it emerge like an air bubble rising from the depths. As you exhale, visualize this truth being released from your cells and returning to the flow of life. If these words touched something inside you, Perhaps it is time to take one more step on this path of reuniting with your inner truth. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue receiving content that nourishes the soul with presence and authenticity. Share in the comments what resonated with your heart. Your story might be the mirror someone else needed to find. If you seek a safe harbor, know that our community is the sanctuary where fertile silence is shared and deepened. Enjoy the posts on the channel. To continue expanding this field of presence, we suggest the video pinned in the card. Peace and light.